Incredible. All right. So welcome everybody. Finally getting going after all this wonderful technical difficulty. Welcome to the I Am Podcast. I am Ben Price. This is the first episode of our live launch on for the I Am Podcast. And I'm extremely excited to get started with you all. And this is Chris McClurkland, who's going to be co-hosting with us. And he is the founder of Peaceable Solutions. It is going to be so wonderful, actually, to be able to work with my best friend for 20 years. Is one of the smartest people that I know. And it's certainly an honor to be able to come to you all and really get this thing going. It's going to be, as we talked before, the podcast is not going to be on the extremes. This whole focus of the podcast is strictly about self-accountability. We got to get better. We have to get better just individually, because it is no way for us to be able to engage in relationship and if we're not better ourselves. That's what happens too often, is we jump in a relationship not whole. And so we just want to be whole. So that's the whole focus, the whole guide. We want to make things better, not easy, because life isn't necessarily easy, but it for sure can be better. So again, I'm excited for everybody. Let's get this thing started. So today, first episode, we're going to talk about I Am Love. I am love, the linchpin of any relationship that you're going to get into. First, the basis of it is love. If you don't love yourself, there's no way you're ever going to be able to really engage yourself in a relationship with someone else, whether it be from a love relationship, from family relationship, familiar relationship, friend relationship. Love is where it starts, and you first got to learn how to love yourself. So we want to start the conversation, and we want to ask, what is love? And I'm gonna open it up for myself. What is love to me? Love to me is a manifestation of the Creator that works with people. It works through vibrations to call forth the actions of the Most High, and the action of the Most High is the Word. That's what love is for me. It is a higher vibration. It's a frequency. It's the Christ itself. Now, Christians don't own Christ. Christ is a higher level of living, higher vibration. So that doesn't mean Christians only own that necessarily vibration or energy. Muslims love, and Buddhists love, and everybody love. It's a higher level. And so in order for you to believe, or you must believe actually, that you can be loved in order to be loved to the fullest. So that's my thought on it. Chris, talk to me. What is your theory on love? What do you think of love is?
Well, it's evolved over time. It evolves over time. I think when we initially think about it, we'll say love is contingent upon the feeling that it produces or whatever. But I would say that love is it's a lifestyle. It's a being. It's a lifestyle that we walk out. It's a creative force, with identifiable and measurable outcomes. One thing about the reason I say identifiable is love looks to meet a need. And the thing about love is that it is not, we as humans don't know how to love. So to put it in a our love is selfish, you know what I'm saying? But when we start talking about what is love, it's the essence of the Most High. And we look to integrate that and submit to that. So yeah, I would say love is a lifestyle and a creative force.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle. I like that.
I like that too. I think I'm going to steal that. I like that.
and it's higher than us.
Absolutely. When you say so, I think about that because a lot of times when people fall in, they in and out of relationships, right? So because people get out of a relationship, they say, oh, well, I don't love you any longer. I don't love said person any longer. And I think that that's a fallacy of love. You never loved someone if you truly can say that you don't love that person any longer. Because if we even was to take the same energy from the scriptures, like we've fallen in and out of relationship with Christ, but Christ never stopped loving us. So if we are to say that, we're using even the scriptures in the same way, then how is it that I can say that I no longer love you, even though we're no longer in relationship? Like you have to stay in relationship in order, or you have to stay in that power of love once you have achieved that level. Go ahead.
If we look at love, and I mean, I've believe me, man, just through my life and relationships where I was in and things of that nature, you think you love a person, but a lot of times that love is based on what that person is doing for you, and then what those feelings produce. You know, because that's just the natural way of thinking about love. Now we know it. We know the text. We know the proverbial definition and outline of love, and we'll read it. Now, when we get upset, we'll say this is how the love should look from the person to us.
Right.
But it still goes back to it being higher than us. And so when you start looking at it, it says love is. Love never becomes, and love never digresses from its state of being, because it is what it is. Regardless of the environment, it is what it is, and love is. So love knows its potency, but also respects the boundaries of others, so the limitations of others, so as to not be offensive.
That's scripture. First Corinthians 13, right? Okay.
Oh.
So let me ask you this. If you were to put a definition of love, Chris's definition of love, what is Chris's definition of love?
Chris's definition of love, again, I said it's a lifestyle. It's the lifestyle.
Lifestyle. You define it as
a state of, it's as a result of a state of being.
Okay.
So, for example,
let's dig
the
it.
podcast is I Am, and tonight's topic is I Am Love.
Correct. Okay.
Man, so love is not afraid
for
to be
myself,
yourself, to express yourself.
For myself, like I have a definition of love, and my definition of love is it is simple.
Good?
Oh, did I lose you? I'm sorry.
Okay, we good. Go ahead.
Okay. So if I was to say like a definition for myself, my definition of love is self-growth and awareness and selflessness. You cannot grow and how do I say this? In order for you to really pay attention to who you are as an individual, you have got to be, or in order for you to love someone else first, you have to love yourself. If you don't love yourself enough, we getting you?
Yeah, we got some difficulty going on tonight. We got some attacks going on.
Sorry, it's attack. So you can't love someone else. You can't love someone else until you first love yourself.
Okay.
First step.
I agree.
If you don't love yourself enough to be aware enough to know where it is that you need to get better at, if you don't love yourself enough to be aware enough to grow in those areas. See, we don't love ourselves enough to heal from the hurts of our past. We don't love enough to heal from the tragedies that we've experienced. We don't love ourselves enough to really go in and take real inventory of ourselves and say, you know what, I need to get better here. these are some issues that I have, and these issues that I have, I am going to work on those things. And because when I become a better version of myself, when I become the best version of myself, because I'm working on getting better and being healed and being whole, then I can actually submit myself to loving another person. And selflessness. So selfish is the antithesis of love. Selfish, the mere definition of selfish, says to be chiefly concerned of one's own profit. I only care about me. And so love, if I love you, but I am not working on becoming a better version of myself for you, I've become stagnant, I'm good where I am, then I don't love you. I'm only a lover of myself. And so those two things in tandem to me are how I would define love. You have to be better. You have to be working on yourself, becoming better, and you have to be selfless in your dealings with your other person, with your partner. And that's just not even necessarily in a love like your traditional relationship. Like, I love you. I've been you my brother. Like if I conduct myself in selfishness while I'm dealing with you, then I really don't love you. I'm only caring about myself. So I think that it's just in all relationships that we have. That's how I look at it. Your mind is pondering. Talk to me. What's going on?
Because okay, so I think what happened, the glitch in the technology. So are you at the point where you're saying you asked me my definition of love, and then you were saying if someone asked you, then you begin to elaborate, correct?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, got you. What is my definition of love? It's a lifestyle. And it's my lifestyle. Now, I like the way you talked about selflessness. I can only be selfless with another as much as I am selfless with myself.
Okay.
So if now my selflessness is based on or can be contaminated by experiences, and this is me talking by experiences. My selfishness can be based on that. So when I'm now able to take, and then we're dealing with freaking human limitations of what it is. But I'm telling you, I got to go back to the essence of love, because that's what I seek to ascribe to my life. And the work I've done to ascribe that to my life now allows me to transfer that infinitely to other people. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So if we going to say love, what is love? Love is creative force. It's what I give myself. It's a being that I say, you know what? I need to be like you to go toward me. Then I can share that to others. Man, I'm sorry. It's just, I got to go there. I'm not even apologizing. It's just, I got to go there.
It is a higher elevation,
Yeah.
and that's why
I
once we come to love, you don't stop loving. Like I'm no longer married. I'm gonna love my ex-wife to the day that I die. Like it's not like I'm not going to stop loving her because I'm no longer a relation, because love does not have to do with her. It doesn't have to do with her. Love has to do with me. And if I am love, relationship does not stop love. Because again, all have sinned and come short, right? So we all done messed up. God never stopped loving us because we messed up, right?
Because he is love.
Because he is love. All right, so let me ask you,
what is love? It's a nature. Okay, go ahead.
So how do we love ourselves better?
Okay. How do we love ourselves better? I think that's okay. So for the person, let's say, as I am and have done, seeking to love myself better,
Okay.
to continue sharing that love with me, I would say that I learned self validation. I learned to look at just to applaud myself, to affirm myself. There's a book that I've read called "Making Peace with Your Past," and there's a section, and I share it often with people and clients about reparenting yourself.
Mm.
And you have to, oh man, it's crazy because I told that person the other day, probably just 2 days ago, I said, how old was this when such and such transpired? They shared with me their age, that age then, and how old they are now. I said, that's about 25 years has elapsed. I said, tell that person to come forth, to come on out, and to see yourself putting your arms around that person at that age then. So how do we love ourselves better? By acknowledging, not hiding from ourselves, by saying, listen,
Right.
I have a wound here and it hurts. I've been trying to self-medicate. It's time for me to do what? Love myself to get help.
Right.
Now, the second part of that, I want to go into and say this here. I think as children who are under the tutelage of parents, when children will learn to love themselves when we parent according to their purpose and encourage them according to their purpose and their destiny, their giftings. Because at that point, you follow me? See, for me, I learned self-love and applying it probably in my 30s. How much, how much rehabilitation have I had to go through to even get to this point? And I'll be 50 in March. You follow me? So if I take Cash now and demonstrate love and also tell him, love yourself just for being here because you have purpose, not because you've done anything, just because you exist, love your existence. And that's starting to plant seeds of self-love.
I like that. As I think about it, to me, it starts with recognition that I'm not the sum part of my experiences.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I am not what I've been through.
Or did.
Or did. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because a lot of what we experience is what we've done to ourselves. So I'm not the sum parts of that. And my tragedy is not me. It was my experience. It was part of what I had to go through. It was part of my purpose, but it's not me. And I don't sit around and hate myself for what it is that I went through. And it also, it took me, it really, really starts also with like the recognition of it and then the healing of it. Really healing my past wounds, really taking care of my mental and emotional problems that we carry. Because when you hold on to those traumas, you hold on to those experiences, you build self-hate and you cover your self-hate with shopping or with drinking or with, some other excessive behavior because you have not really stopped and said, hold on, the first person I got to love is me. So let me fix all of the issues within me that need to be fixed.
Another thing too, and I want to add to that real quick, because you were talking about maybe like even addiction. Some things are just self-sabotage, which is really subtle versus more so, or it's obvious that something's going on and this, that, and the other. Because again, when you have a concept of self-hate and you practice that lifestyle, when When love comes, um, your higher self will know it's love, but your experiences will distort it, and then, sometimes in some instances reject it.
Absolutely. When do you know? When do you feel like you know that you love yourself?
Mm. Your inner dialogue, your inner chatter will change. It will be more self-validating. It will be, see, again, I'm going to tell you what's going in my mind. Love is
Talk to me.
patient. Love is kind. Okay. So the things that I have done, there are times where I have felt overwhelmed, and I've had to say aloud to myself, Chris, you're going to get through this. I'm talking about recent. I'm not talking about just
Right.
2, 3 years, 5, 10 years. No, to this day, to this very day, I battle with second guessing. I battle with it. And so because love is patient, and because I ascribe to that love, and I hate doing this because the Most High resides within us. So I ascribe to the love that I see written about, and then to express it. But you know what? Forget others, people. Love your person, neighbor, as you love yourself. I give it to me first. I'm telling myself, man, you're doing a phenomenal job. Self-validation.
So when you say that, because I too had an experience recently, like, just being honest, like divorce is hard. Like it's hard, and regardless of whatever side of the fence you on, as when it relates to the causation of the end, it's not easy for either party. And man, I don't know if there were periods of this process I didn't love me. I remember times I was speaking to you, and sometimes I would fall into depression, and I had to remind myself, love is patient, love is kind, because I was beating myself up for decisions that I was making. There were times that I did not understand that I wasn't loving myself until I was in low pits. And I had begun work on myself a long time ago, as far as what, in my mind, what it is that I needed to do. But man, like you are reminded often throughout the days that you still need to love you. Mm-hmm. You still need to work on you becoming love, and elevating to a vibration of love, because you will quickly be reminded that you still got some things in you. You still got some hate in you, some vitriol, some hurt that needs to be, and you can't love someone if you still operate in that capacity.
I'm going to say this just as you were speaking, and you were talking about not loving self. I will say this. I think we have romanticized the idea of being whole. Oh, I'm going to be whole. Oh, I'm just going to be whole. Let me say something. You will have experiences that you will get through. And as long as your life force is in this temple, you're going to go through another experience, because each experience gets us closer to our authentic self and elevation.
Okay.
So each time we're learning more about being patient with self. Just be patient with yourself. But in my mind, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm serious, and I know there are other people that can attest to this. I will see there'll be a task that needs to be done. There are days I've struggled with just writing things down because it seems like a monument. If I take time to do that, I'm going to lose time here. I have to tell myself, Chris, be patient with yourself. Just pace yourself. To me, that's self-love, not putting pressure on myself if I want me to do something that. And you get the idea. Go ahead.
So I will challenge slightly on the romanticism of being whole, because I believe that we can become whole. Because in order for us to, because my theory behind that is, in order for you to really truly get into a relationship, you have to be a whole person. Like you have to be your whole self. If you have not healed from past hurts, you will not be whole. You will carry those whole hurts into the next relationship, any capacity, talking about love or whatever. So I don't know if I can say, and I understand what you're saying as far as the romanticism of it, but I just, it's hard for me to subscribe to that. You got to be whole.
Okay, so now, now catch this here.
Okay.
A whole person, right?
Right. Whole person.
What is the idea? What is the idea of a whole person? Because I think you mentioned that you have to be whole before you can, and would you finish it for me? Because I can't totally recall what you said about relationship. Right. Being whole and then entering a relationship. You have to be whole in order to be in a relationship, you're saying?
In order for a relationship to work, to me, you have to, you need two whole people. That doesn't mean, that doesn't mean you have every single solitary I dotted and T crossed, right? Because we're constantly, we are perfecting, not perfect. We're perfecting. We're perfecting ourselves back to our Christed image. So, but in order for us to be like legitimately in a real relationship with someone, where two parties are feeding off of each other back and forth, and feeding into and pouring into each other, and all of those type of things, you have to be whole. You have to have healed yourself from your hurt, your pain, and be able to recognize. Like a question I ask often is, "Do you know you're crazy?" Okay. If you don't know you're crazy, then how in the world are you going to that means you haven't done any work on yourself. So what happens is we got half people getting together and trying to call themselves a whole pizza, but you're not. It's just two halves. If we haven't healed, guess what? The moment you trigger something inside of me, I become shrapnel and blow up. And I become a bomb and I blow up and I hit everybody around me with the shrapnel. So you still got to. You still got to be whole.
What is the whole though? Like, what does whole look like? Now, at this point, my question now is, what does whole look like in a relationship for a person to say, "I'm ready to enter a relationship"?
To me, whole is the ability to, or not ability, knowledge of self, knowing that I'm no longer impacted by my traumas. Legitimately. No. Now, have I done my work? Have I gone and done therapies, or have I, done different therapeutic ways to release myself from my past hurts? That is wholeness. That doesn't mean that you don't understand what you've done. I got you, brother.
Okay. It's flowing. I gotta get it.
But I want, can you say, you know what? I recognize that this was some childhood trauma. I've gone through some relationship stuff, and I recognize that I've made some mistakes along these relationships. And I can see, okay, this came from here. This came from here. This came from my childhood. This came from this previous relationship. This came from, from my uncle or whatever. And
gotcha.
Now that I recognize these things, I've done work to alleviate myself of carrying that weight.
Okay, so let me interject real quick.
Into the atmosphere. Go ahead, sir.
Let me interject real quick, please. All right, so again, that's why I say we talk about being whole. Okay, so when we talk about being whole, or we talk about a person just being, see, some people say, well, some people maybe think, well, whole is perfect. I don't ever deal with those triggers, or never tempted in that area again, or doesn't bother me. I think we get to that point. No, and I say this here because certainly when you start talking about trauma, especially when you start talking about trauma, you cannot unsee what you see. You cannot unhear what you've heard. You know, but what we can learn are ways to respond differently.
Right.
So again, like you say, identify. I just don't want people to think that I have to be and I'm not saying you're saying this, please. I just don't want people to think, that's why I said romanticize, because I used to do it. A1 perfect. Now I'm ready for a relationship. Like it's like black and white. I think what really happens is when we start realizing there's work for me to do, and we're on a journey. As I shared this top layer, guess what? There's another layer. And as I take this layer off, there's another layer. And then we become authentic. I'm going to tell you why. Because if we're born, anybody who comes through the matrix, the womb, okay, any person that's born of a woman is a few days, and those few days are full of trouble. We were fine until we became human.
Right.
So now I start learning how to respond differently. It may be the same arrow, it may be the same trigger, but now I choose to respond differently because of mind shift.
Okay. So now that you say that,
Healing versus wholeness. Now I got you. Okay, good. Healing. Go ahead.
Because the fact that you've gotten to that healing is what starts to make you whole. So
Okay.
So if you catch it, so we take a pizza, right? We take a pizza. Let's not take a pizza. Let's take with a circle, sphere. As I am healing, taking up all of my stuff, I'm here, but as I'm healing, I'm expanding. I'm getting bigger. Because I'm healing. So the circumference of who I am is growing because I'm not stuck in this linear place of me not dealing with that trauma and pain. So if you was to use that same analogy of a pizza, that's the half pizza, right? And as I'm healing now, I'm becoming a whole. I'm expanding because I'm being healed.
So because I need to be healed from something. Okay, we're good. No, this is good though. This is good. I'm gonna tell you, this is good. This is good.
I mean, real dialogue. Because if you're not healing, if you're not healing, you're never going to be whole. You're never going to be whole if you're not healing. You disagree, sir?
Yeah, I got you. No. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm not disagreeing in my mind. I'm thinking. I'm just thinking, man. Like whole. Yeah.
But whole isn't perfect. Whole isn't perfect. But while we're on this earth in this fleshly being, we should always be perfecting.
Yeah, I would say maturing. Maturing. Yeah. Being whole. Okay. That's a good comeback. That's a good conversation there.
All right. So let me ask you this, because we kind of touched a little bit. We touched a little bit on being in a relationship or whatever. So I want to ask you this question, because I there's a philosopher by the name of Alan de Botton, and he talks about how romance has killed love. How essentially romance we've conflated love with romance. Romance, we talks about books that started coming out in the 16th or 17th century, and how later in the 19th century is how we've talked about how love is just this euphoric feeling, and you see somebody at the grocery store and you bump into them in the pickle aisle, and you see each other, you lock eyes, and you fall in love. Well, that foolishness. Have we conflated love and romance? And what is the difference? What is your difference?
I think that we can mixing the two. Um, uh, Romance, I think there are romantic moments. you know, Moments. However, love, because love is a being, it's an essence, is a life force. It's creative, and it doesn't stop being itself. So now it can create feelings of because the thing about love too is that without disrespecting, love will challenge you and may be offensive, but for the greater good, for the greater cause.
So
But
I think that
have we conflated romance or feelings with love? Mixed them? Yeah, I would say some people have.
yes.
If you do this, then I know you love me. However,
See,
love, being who it is personified, will do certain things along the way, but it's not the doings that validate us. That's right. Go ahead.
Romance is not love. Romance is romance.
I think it's flipped,
Um,
like you said, it's conflated,
it's
mixed
conflated.
together.
I can be extremely romantic to you and not love you.
Definitely.
You know, um, and I think what happens is often we fall. I don't like the term falling in love. That's another, but we fall in romance all the time and think it's love, because I'm chivalrous and I open doors and I take you out to dinner, and because I, create an experience, and because you feel like, because love is not, you don't emote love, because love is a being, right? So you don't, there's not necessarily an emotion behind it. But romance is an emotion. You feel romanticized. You feel like, oh, but we call that love. Like being swept off of your feet is a romantic feeling. It's not a love feeling. You work. Love is work. Love is a grind.
No, why do you why do you why do you say love is work? What love is a grind? Why do you say that?
Because love is an action verb. You are constantly showing love. That's why it is selfless. That's why love is selfless. You're constantly you're constantly working. If we're in a love relation, I am constantly working towards showing you that. That's the grind per se. That doesn't mean like grind my gears and like I'm tired of loving type stuff. But you're constantly working in love because it is actionable. It is not emotional. Go ahead, sir. I see your head. I see your wheels turning.
You said I'm constant. It's a grind. It's work.
It's work.
And then you said because you're constantly demonstrating. Or how did you say it? You're constantly what?
Constantly, you can use that word, demonstrating. You're
But
constantly.
what did you say? Okay.
I think I said showing.
Or
but, you know,
okay. I just want to make sure. Now, catch this. Or I'm constantly being love. If I am being love, and it's my existence in nature, I promise you, because I have loved before, I submit to wisdom and will shift and tuck that into my existence. Because I've heard the wisdom in the you follow me? So now all I'm doing is adding to. So that's why see for me, love is not going to be work for me. It will not be work for me. And I'm not going to grind with it. Because if it is who I am, and as the more I evolve and elevate, and that's for anybody, I do not alter my being because you don't understand who I am. In fact, I will not walk away. I will inform you gracefully that I'm realizing I'm offending you, and I will remove myself. That's not walking away. If I walk away, that's abandonment. And see, I'm love.
I like where you're going, sir. You're changing my theory for the record. Okay, I'm listening.
I am love. Love is not even easily offended. I don't care. I can see beyond what you say and see the pain and the frustration in your eyes because I am love. I'm not easily offended.
Okay. I like where you're going with that. I'm gonna have to do I'm gonna have to do a little bit more study in that.
This is my conviction.
I like that. I do. I'm gonna reevaluate myself and come back and have another conversation with you on that. That's gonna be something to talk about. All right. So, because I don't want to be on too long. So I want to ask a couple other quick questions so we can get up out of here. So real quick, let's talk about this. For those of us who are single, I want to ask you your thoughts. When do you know you are ready to date?
Oh, okay. How will we have some? Don't we get any comments in the chat?
We're gonna have to bring this up Thursday. Some of the comments that may be in the chat. So when are we ready to date?
Okay. I'm looking at the comments, but go ahead. That's a great one. When are we ready to date?
When are we ready to date?
And while we're waiting for them to respond.
No, you. I'm asking you. When do you think we're ready to date?
I thought you put it in the audience. Man.
No. I'm asking you, sir.
Hold on, my throat gets dry. And they said, "Pray for me, elaborate." Okay, now what's the question again?
At what point? Listen, we're both single. You know, there's people that's going to be listening to us that are single, people that are married, going through divorce. Like, you know, so at what point would you say, hey, you know what? I reckon I've hit, you know, I'm done whatever. What point are we ready to date? Would you say that?
A person is ready to date. See, you ask me these questions, right? You ask me these questions. A person's ready to date.
Sir, that's the whole conversation.
When they are ready, I think they're ready to date when they desire to share what they've learned and the transformation they've made in their life with someone else. I would say that's, first of all, a level of maturity, number one. So we're going to go that route. But then when
Gotcha.
you know the concept, the purpose of dating, and to those who are looking at this here, there's a book I'm reading called Boundaries in Dating. I think it's very important to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had my mind was there before I read the book, but really now it's like, purpose of dating. And so with that being said, I think when we're ready to really share, when we've made investments in our lives and deposits into ourselves, and we're now able to say, listen, I want to share the knowledge I've learned and my maturity with someone else, for the knowledge, purpose of adding to their life.
Okay.
I'm looking for comments. I'm tired of talking. Go ahead.
So now I want to talk because a lot of times people, one thing that we always conflate is dating and relationships, right? Mm-hmm. So do we know the difference between the two? And so there are some key differences between a dating relationship and a monogamous relationship with another person. Mutuality. Do we both agree to the parameters with which we do? Commitment. Are we exclusive with one another? Communication. Has our communication shifted to like that of a committed relationship? The expectations. What expectations do we have regarding the relationship? Maybe talk about time and resources that we things of that nature. And then the priorities. Have we made each other a priority and we prioritize the needs? I think a lot of times people look at dating and they think that if I'm dating you, then I am in relationship with you, but nobody's had a conversation. Like, there's no conversation. And so without there being a conversation as to what it is that we are doing, you're not in a relationship. You are strictly dating. That's it. Mm-hmm. There are no ties or no boundaries or whatever that's involved in it. It is strictly we're dating, hanging out, we're doing whatever, and that's it. And the moment that we two people have a conversation about what the mutuality, commitment, the communication, expectation, the priorities, then you evolve into it as a relationship as opposed to just you hanging out. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I just refer back to the book, Boundaries in Dating, man. Just, you date to get to know people, just getting to know, to learn experiences, things of that nature. So that's what I would say. When that is there, as far as that's concerned, yeah. Now, when you start talking about relationship, then you start moving into, like you said, conversation pieces. Boundaries, values, things of that nature. Hope I answered your question. I mean,
no, it's fine.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think at that point, that's when you have those conversations regarding.
So
differentiate, decipher between dating and then relationship. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Last thing. So I wanted to make sure we keep it in a time limit. I didn't want to go over 45 minutes, so I want to stay in here. So staying with dating. Okay. Mm-hmm. Got a question. And this kind of relates to the book that you can as well. So sex while dating. Should we or should we not? So I'm going to give you some statistics. There's a YouGov poll that says 10% of Americans think it's fine for a couple to have sex within a week of them starting a date. The most common attitude is that after seeing each other for more than a week but less than a month, or from 1 to 3 months, and around 1 in 8 Americans feel as if we should wait until marriage to have sex. Men feel differently than women. So there's 38% of men that are more likely than women, 20% that think it's acceptable for couples to have sex within the first month of dating. 13% of men say it's okay within the first week. 7% of women agree. Mr. Chris McClurkin, Peaceable Solutions, what say you, sir?
What say I? I say that's their business. I mean, seriously, I say that's their business. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because that's, to say should and should not. I mean, what's the purpose of it? The purpose of having sex while dating. Should we have sex? Statistics are good, but when you start just getting back down to just statistics, are just studies. But when you get down to principle, a person has to decide where they are. Seriously, that's just what it's going to boil down to. They're going to decide where they are. You may know to do something and not have the willpower to do it, or or you may know not to do something, but not have the willpower to not do it. So I'm don't get me wrong when I say this, but I'm not going to tell anybody during that time what they should or should not do. But I will I will tell them to reflect on their values. And now there are different values that they have in. I would encourage them to reflect on values, because there are different values as relates to work, as relates to family, and then also as it relates to dating relationship. And that's what I share with people. And that's also what I embrace for myself.
So I agree with you. And I think that, so sex is an agreement between two consenting adults. If two people decide that that's what they want to do, two persons, because if it's only one person, that's a crime. That's a crime. If two persons decide that that's what they want to do, that's what they do. I would always say err on the side of, if that's what you're going to do in your dating process, to vet the person that you're dealing with. Because, again, you're dealing with people who have different energies, different spirits that they are. And if they are someone who's been out hanging around with somebody else, and that person been hanging out with somebody else and somebody else, now you're inviting those spirits into your temple. And so if you're not going through a vetting process and paying attention to who in the world you are allowing into your temple, then you wake up one morning and you like, why am I trying to punch a hole in the wall? Because Ray Ray and them decided that they was the one to punch a hole in the wall. And you let Ray Ray in your temple. So now Ray Ray chilling in your temple, wanting to punch holes. I think that we have to really, really be mindful of that, and really, really think about what it is that we're doing, who we're allowing inside of our temples, and really, look, I don't have a heaven to put you in, a hell to cast you to, right? Whatever people do is whatever they do. As long as two people consent. I would just encourage everyone that if that's what we're going to be doing during dating, that we make sure that we vet the persons that we're dealing with. Because at the end of the day, if that's what you are responsible for your temple all day, every day. And go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, because again, you start moving into, and that's why I say, what is the purpose of, when you start talking about sex as it relates, for humans. I mean, I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying that, because it is, we don't have a instinct or what they call it, animals. They operate by instinct or whatever the case may be, or a certain time.
Right.
We don't have that. We can. It's for pleasure. It creates pleasure, but it's for the purpose of procreation. You know what I'm saying? So when we start talking about that, then it starts helping people start making weighing decisions and making decisions for themselves. You follow me? I think my mom used to say, "Forewarned is forearmed." Knowledge is insightful, but the application of that knowledge makes it more powerful. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think honestly that if intuitively you don't feel you should, then don't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just follow that. That's your higher self.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's your higher self. The I Am podcast, huh? I Am
Brother,
Love.
This has been. I hate that we had all these technical difficulties to get started, but man, brother, I love you, Mr. Chris. Tell everybody where it is that they can reach out to you and get more information about Peaceable Solutions, sir.
Well, I love you too, bro. I appreciate it, man. And I send out to some other brothers as well. I want them to know that from my heart to theirs, I love them as well. To reach out to me, you can go to my website, www.peaceablesolutionsaltogether.com. Now, I say that, I'll demonstrate that way, but www.peaceablesolutionsaltogether.com. There's no underscore, there's no spacing. Or you can reach out to me at 803-386-9842. I just want everybody to just, keep us lifted up, support us, because again, we're talking about real subject matter and issues and matters of the heart. Also want to shout out to everyone who did join us on the live, man. We got some nice comments about what is love, and some people say love is a choice, and love requires selflessness. Oh, selfishness. That's M. Yes, he says you first, then you can show up as your best version of yourself. And we have some great comments. Yeah. So, again, everyone, thank you from my heart to yours. I love you guys. My name is Chris.
Hey, this man, the birth of this podcast actually came from me watching Chris on some internet television, and he was saying a message about Moses and Pharaoh, and tell him who sent me, tell him I am sent you, and it just triggered something in me. And so, listen, I love and appreciate each and every one of you to life, and so we're going to just continue to have a conversation about us being better, not making things easier, making it better, not easy. And to do self-work is not easy. It takes a strong level of accountability for you to be able to look at yourself and know, hey, I got to get better, and then actually do the work to do so. So, from my heart to yours, I promise you, I love each and every one of you to life. Thank you for your support. Share this video. We'll have information throughout the week for our subscription. We're going to have this on YouTube. We will also have this available on different podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, the whole bit. We want you to be able to share this with somebody. We're going to continue to grow our conversation. We're going to talk about I am love and relationships. I am dating. I am married. I am divorced. I am parent. I am health and wealth and so many different things. We're going to have different people come on board, have conversations. There's a good brother that I know that wrote a book called Life After a Painful Divorce that we're going to have a conversation with, and some other people that have, done really good work. So we're going to continue to grow this, man. I just love everyone who came out tonight, supported us, everyone who's going to support us in the future who couldn't check it out live, but they're going to see it on the Facebook page and share it and view it and like it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is episode 1. I am love. I am dating. We will be here third Monday of every month. And follow us on, get us on Facebook. You're already there. Have the conversation. Thursday Thoughts. We're going to talk about the next topic that's coming up every week. We're going to talk about what the next topic is that's coming up and create some dialogue. And so we definitely welcome your support. Definitely, I'm just excited, man. This has been truly a labor of love. And we're not going to come out here and just like not have legitimate things to talk about. And there is not going to be any male bashing, female bashing, or anything of that nature. We're going to focus on us being better. The more people that we can heal internally, the better that we're going to have great relationships out here in this world. So, from me, Ben, Chris, Peaceable Solutions, man, thank you again. And not being better, or not being easy, but being better. Thank y'all. Good night.